Right now, there's a quiet deal unfolding between Washington and Wall Street, and it has everything to do with your money. You won't see it on the front page of the news, but if you felt your paycheck stretch thinner, your rent rise faster, or your savings buy less, then you're already living inside their plan. And trust me, once you see how deep this goes, you'll never look at the economy the same way again. So, what if I told you that while politicians argue on TV and bankers make promises behind closed doors, there's a financial strategy designed not to build your wealth, but to quietly control it? Let's pull back the curtain and expose the shocking link between Washington, Wall Street, and your wallet. To understand what's really happening right now, we need to rewind. Not decades. Just a few months. Because behind the headlines, behind the smiling press conferences, something bigger has been unfolding. The Federal Reserve, the invisible engine of the U.S. economy, has been walking a tightrope, raising interest rates to cool inflation while trying to keep Wall Street from catching a cold. Sounds noble, right? But here's the truth: every rate hike squeezes the middle class. Your mortgage gets heavier. Your credit card payments stretch thinner. Your dream home? Further out of reach. Meanwhile, the top 1%, they don't panic. They just reallocate. They shift money, hedge bets, and come out richer on the other side. Ever notice how Wall Street panics for about 2 hours and then celebrates like they just won the Super Bowl? Yeah, that's not an accident. That's the system working exactly as designed. In Washington, they sell you an illusion of control. They talk about fighting inflation and stimulating growth. But in reality, it's just a financial shell game, moving money from your future into their present. Because here's what they don't tell you. Since 2020, roughly 70% of all new money printed went straight into corporate hands and asset markets, not the real economy. Not into your pocket. Not into your community. Into stocks, bonds, and balance sheets. The result? Stock prices exploded. CEO bonuses reached record highs. But wages? Barely moved. The average worker is running harder than ever, just to stay in the same place. They built a system where your labor funds their leverage. Where your dollar's shrinking value isn't a mistake, it's the cost of their power. But here's the twist. This isn't really about interest rates or inflation targets. It's about protection. Not yours, theirs. Because the real question isn't how the Fed controls the economy. It's who they're protecting when the system starts to shake. While Washington sells the story of stability, Wall Street is the one writing the script. Behind the polished speeches, the real decisions, the trillion-dollar ones, are being made by people you've probably never voted for, never met, and never even heard speak in public. We're talking about a small circle of financial titans: BlackRock, Vanguard, and State Street. Together, these firms quietly own stakes in nearly every major company you interact with, from your smartphone manufacturer, to your grocery store, to the very media networks that shape your opinions. Think politicians run the economy? Think again. They're not the directors. They're the actors, reading from a teleprompter written on Wall Street. Remember when your college professor told you the market decides everything? Yeah, turns out, the market has 3 guys named Larry, Steve, and Tim. They decide what wins, what loses, and who gets left behind. Here's what the data shows. In 2023, more than $15 trillion in U.S. assets were managed by just these 3 firms. They hold voting power in nearly every Fortune 500 boardroom. And through lobbying and political donations, they quietly influence the very policies that shape the economy. This isn't a conspiracy theory. It's not hidden in some dark corner of the web. It's public record, just never publicized. This is the alliance no one talks about. Washington prints the money. Wall Street multiplies it. And the American worker? They fund it through inflation, taxes, and shrinking purchasing power. That's why you can get a raise and still feel broke. That's why you can work harder, earn more, and somehow fall further behind. Because your paycheck might be bigger, but the dollar inside it is smaller. This isn't just about control. It's about conditioning. Because when a system teaches you to accept struggle as normal, when it convinces you that this is just how the economy works, that's not economics anymore. That's psychology. And the next phase? It won't be about money, it'll be about mindset. Because the greatest control isn't over your wallet. It's over your belief in what's possible. You've been trained not to question the system, but to trust it. From the very beginning, it was never about teaching you wealth. It was about teaching you obedience. Schools teach you how to work for money, not how to make money work for you. You're told to get a job, save what you can, and buy a home when you're ready. But nobody ever explained what happens when the value of the dollar you're saving quietly melts away. Banks reward you for saving, with interest so small, it's almost insulting. And while your balance grows by pennies, inflation erases dollars. Politicians, on the other hand, promise relief. They pass trillion-dollar spending bills with names that sound hopeful. Inflation reduction, economic rescue, build back better. But every time they inject liquidity, they're really diluting your purchasing power. Behavioral economists have a name for this. Financial learned helplessness. It's when people stop trying to get ahead, because they've been conditioned to believe the game is unwinnable. It's the same strategy used in casinos. Keep you entertained. Keep you hopeful. Let you win just enough to keep playing, while the house always wins. Except in this casino, the house isn't Vegas. It's Washington. The result? Millions of Americans chasing raises, promotions, and side hustles, thinking the answer is to run faster. But the truth? The real wealth game is happening above their pay grade. In boardrooms, think tanks, and closed-door meetings where policy becomes profit. But here's the good news: once you see the pattern, you can break it. Because awareness isn't weakness. It's power. The moment you stop playing their game by their rules, you start creating your own. You can learn to think like an investor, not an employee. To understand assets, not just income. To move your money with strategy, not emotion. That's how the top 1% play. Not because they're smarter, but because they understand the system was never built to protect you. It was built to protect itself. But now, you see it. And once you see the system for what it is, you can rise above it. Because the real awakening isn't about money. It's about freedom. This isn't a message of fear, it's a message of freedom. Because the same system designed to control you can be used to empower you, if you know how it works. Start by becoming financially literate, not just in saving, but in ownership. Own assets. Study markets. Diversify across industries. Invest in education, skills, and information, not just in comfort. Washington and Wall Street have a plan. So should you. The next financial shift is already in motion. Digital currencies, political spending, and economic resets are rewriting the rules of money as we speak. The question is, will you watch it happen, or prepare to win in it? If you're ready to stay one step ahead, protect your wealth, and turn knowledge into power, this channel is your first move. Subscribe, stay alert, and let's build your financial freedom together, while they're still busy hiding the truth.